Okay, geographers, what I'm going to try and design now is a very quick survey that I want my students to fill in, and then I want the data to be presented on a map that I can share with them. So this will be quite good for fieldwork. So if I just Google Survey123, and then I log into Survey123 using my ArcGIS login. I don't need to create anything special. It's the same login that I've got for ArcGIS because these two bits of software talk to each other. So for my particular survey, I just wanted to randomly ask the students where they are in the world. So where do they study? So the first question I've added is actually a map. So as you can see on the left, I can add a map, and this is in design mode. When you start, you might have to click on the top left plus to get the questionnaire going. But this is very similar to Microsoft Forms. It's very easy to construct a decent questionnaire or survey. So the first question was, where are you? You can customize it as well when you do this. You can have a search bar, you can switch lat or long off. You can have a zoomable map where the students can just touch and put a pin in where they are. And then for the second question, I decided to have just free text. I think it was multi-line text, and that puts a text box there for them. But as you can see, it's very much like Microsoft Forms. You can put in star ratings, rankings, images they can upload, audio files, etc., etc. There's quite a lot of good stuff here. There's plenty of examples online of, students collecting litter around campus or their school grounds and logging where the litter is and where they found it and taking a photo of the litter or scoring it on a Likert scale, etc., etc. So this is very simple. So that's really my couple of questions designed in Survey123. If I then go to collaborate, it then actually gives me some information about how to share the survey. So right at the top, there's my URL. I can have a QR code, or I could copy the URL and share it with the students. I want the students to be able to access it pretty easily. So on their phones or on iPads or their computers at home. I don't want them to log into Survey123 using their GIS stuff. So I've just clicked everybody. Be aware, if you do click everyone, think of the sensitivity of the data. You don't want to breach any sort of GDPR legislation, so be careful with that one. You can then also decide whether you want the students to update records. Could it get quite messy if you click that? So make sure it is on add. How many submissions can they have? You can have a time period as well for this, etc., etc. So that's the URL that I would share with the students. I can then click share results on the left. And if I want the students to have access to the raw data, there's exactly the same sort of format. There's a different URL for that. But for this purpose, they're younger students. I don't want them to have the raw data yet. So I'm just going to give them the URL from Share Survey. When you've designed your questions, you must click Publish in the top right. Make sure you save it and click Publish, and then you're pretty much ready to go. There's not too much else in here. There's an Analyze section where you can actually analyze the data, and it tries to do sort of like word clouds and stuff. But I think the best stuff is actually in ArcGIS. So if I go in data, this gives me a quick overview of what this is like, what my data is looking like at the moment, but I don't need to interrogate it in ArcGIS. So just to recap, in Collaborate, I'll share the URL with them. They can then go out and collect some data using mobile phones, using iPads, using a teacher's mobile phone, school mobile phone, laptop at home, whatever. If I then go to ArcGIS, I log into my ArcGIS using the same login as I did for Survey123, and I click on my name. I go to my profile. It's really the contents section that you're looking for. So you might get that right at the start, but I go in content and then my content, and as if by magic, you can see a list of all my maps and my files. And here, for whatever reason, this is called Lindsay Map 1. There's my web map that I've just created, and it's actually viewable for everyone as I selected. So if I go to preview and then open in map viewer at the bottom left, okay, there's loads of menus I can look at here. but I'm going to open in Map Viewer. So when I open this in the Map Viewer, this should look fairly familiar. It'll take a few seconds to load. It also takes a few seconds to populate. There we go. So if I want to change the base map, I can. I quite like this satellite image, but you can tweak and faff around with it. But I don't want the students to have access to all of the menus. So this might throw them, especially if they're younger students. So what I'm going to try and do is not open it in Map Viewer. I just want it to open as a map on a web page. So the things I can do, I need to go to Share Map. I need to go to Manage Sharing. And I then need to check that the map is shared with everybody. Again, I don't want the students to log in to see this. I want everyone to look at it. So again, think about sensitivity of the data. I would then click Save. And then in Share Map, I can go to Custom Link. And here I can put it in dark mode, which changes the key. I can add a title. I can add a key, for example, or legend. And here, Open in Map Viewer gives the students this little tag or tab on the bottom right, a button where they can open in Map Viewer. I don't want that. I just want them to open it as a map. And then right at the bottom here, this huge long URL is the one I can share with them. I can actually shorten it. I can then copy that as well. And when they open that URL, what they will see, all they will see is just this map. And they can again hover and click on these circles. So let's test that out, shall we? Let's just open up the map. So this is the URL that I'll give them. They don't need to log in. I'm not logged in on this tab because I set the sharing permissions correctly. And there you go. I don't get any of the menus at the side, and there is their data. So they can actually, they can zoom in, they can click on the data, and I just put in some random comments for each of these places. Okay, so that is how you make a Survey123 in the design function, and then you can put your data pretty much live into ArcGIS. Okay, I hope that was useful and helped somebody. Bye-bye.